Hi students, welcome to today's lecture on Python programming. In our earlier class, we have seen how the definite iteration is done with for loop and how for loop can be used as a count control. Today, we will focus on while loop, which is specially used for conditional iteration. That means the while loop iterates and terminates based on a particular condition while executing a block of statements. Okay, so we'll focus on this topic today and see how this conditional iteration can be done with while loop. Right. So let us start with a simple introduction to while loop and the structure of while loop. So in most of the scenarios that we are going to solve in real world, the number of times a particular loop is going to repeat is not known at the start of the loop. Right, majority of times it will be decided based on the input given by the user or based on a particular condition is met or not, right? So in majority of situations the loops will be terminated based on a particular condition met or not, right? But the for loop basically is used for count control. If you know the number of iterations required by the loop in the beginning itself, then you can go with that for loop. Otherwise, the better choice will be using this while loop. Okay, so now we'll have a look at the structure and behavior of while loop. We already saw the structure of a while loop in our first unit itself. This goes like this: while followed by a condition and a colon to represent the end of that loop header. So this forms the loop header, and then a block of statements to execute. So these block of statements will be repeated based on whether this condition is true or false. If the condition is true, then the control comes inside the block and executes the statements. Then once all the statements are executed, the control goes back to the condition testing again, and this process will be repeated until the condition becomes false. Whenever the condition becomes false, then it goes out of the loop. Okay, so this is how it works. If condition is true, it goes inside the loop, executes the set of statements inside the body of the loop, and then goes back to the condition testing again. Okay, if the condition is false, then the control goes out of the loop, right? So this is where the structure of while loop specifies that the set of statements mentioned inside the body of while loop will be executed only if this condition is satisfied. Otherwise, it will be terminated. Okay, so that is the reason why while loop is basically used for conditional iteration, because it works based on condition testing. Okay, so this is also called as entry controlled loop, as it can be seen. Whether you enter inside the loop's body or not, it is decided at the beginning of the loop itself by testing the condition. Okay, so that is how it works. This part we have already seen in the first unit itself. We saw some examples also. Now have a look at this example, which shows the uses of while loop. Initially, a variable is defined to 0.0, a float value. The variable name is the sum, and then it is reading a number. Okay, or if user wants to quit, he can press the enter. Okay, without giving any number, he can press the enter. So it is just reading that input by using this function. The input is fed into this data. While data is not equal to empty, that means user enters some number, this is going to be false. Okay, because it is mentioned as not equal to. Whenever the user enters a number, this is going to be true. Then control goes inside. Number is equal to float of data. So number is converted. We are calculating the sum. by using this shorthand assignment operator. The sum plus is equals to number means that the sum is equal to the sum plus number. So initially the sum is 0 and the number is added now to the sum and stored into the sum again. Again, it is asking to enter another number or just enter to quit. Okay. After reading this input, again, the control goes back by taking the new input given by the user to the condition testing again. And if it is not equal to this empty, that means user has given some number. Then again, it enters inside, converts it into number and adds it into sum. So once the loop is completed, we will print the sum using the print function. The sum is the sum. Okay. So if you execute this program, until and unless user enters empty enter without giving any number, okay, so the loop repeats, the loop repeats. So look at this sample. Enter a number or just enter to quit, it is asking. User is giving 3. It means that 3 will be taken and added to the sum. Again, it will ask enter another number. User enters 4, so it repeats again. It is asking enter a number or just enter to quit. User is giving 5. Again, it is asking enter a number or just enter to quit. So whenever user press the enter without giving any number, it stops because this fails. This condition fails means it comes over here by printing the sum is the sum. So the message comes here. The sum is the sum of these three numbers, 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is equals to 12. Okay. So like that, we can use the while loop as conditional iterations. Okay. So these kind of examples we already practiced well, and let us focus on how while loop can be utilized with other ways of iterations. Okay. So as we saw earlier, count control is done by the for loop. Now count control can also be done by the while loop. Okay. Have a look at this example. I just want to find the sum of the sequence of numbers. So initially sum is equals to 0, count is equals to 1. Okay. While count less than or equal to 1 lakh. So I just want to sum up to the 1 lakh numbers starting from 1. While count less than or equal to 1 lakh, sum is equals to sum plus count. So count is added to the sum and count is equals to count plus 1. Okay. And then control goes back to this condition until and unless count becomes greater than 1 lakh. Okay. This loop will be repeated. The two statements inside the block gets executed. And once the count reaches 1 lakh 1, then the condition fails. It comes over here and prints the sum. Okay. So we can perform the count control operations with the help of while loop also. But if you observe the same code which is done by the for loop, okay, you can see that it's very easy to use this for loop for count control operations. Instead of using a while loop, which requires initialization of loop control variable, condition testing, and updation of loop control variable. If you see, these three parts must be explicitly done, right? You have to write it in your own. These three parts has to be explicitly done. So you need to focus more on this, right? 3 parts explicitly you need to write in while loop. Whereas if you look at this for loop, we are not writing any condition testing, we are not initializing count, and we are not updating the count. We just produce the range of values using range function, and count is iterated automatically into this range function with the help of for loop. Okay, so most of the work done over here is reduced when you use this for loop. So that is the reason why if you want to perform that count control, better you go for this for loop. Okay, while loop, even though we can use while loop for count control also, but it is not efficient and effective as compared to this for loop, because you need to perform additional operations such as initialization of loop control variable, condition testing explicitly, and updation of loop control variable also. Because there are more operations, there is a chance of errors also, extra errors also. If the count control, that is loop control variable, is not initialized properly, or the condition testing is not done properly, or the updation is not done properly, may raise unexpected logical errors in your program. Okay, so it could be minimized. The set of errors could be minimized if you use this for loop. Okay, so count control is better solved with for loop, not the while loop, even though we can perform it. Okay, right. So we will focus on another interesting topic with respect to the loops, that is repetition structures. That is about control statements. These control the way the loop's going to execute. Okay, so loop control statements are three types: break, continue, and pass. Okay, there are three loop control statements available: break, continue, and pass. Now we will see how these three can be used. So in our earlier sessions, we have seen both for loop and while loop, and we performed several repetition tasks with the help of that for loop and while loop. In for loop, count control is used. We are producing a range of values, and then a variable is taken to refer to that range of values produced, and then we are using that variable to perform certain operations on the range of values produced in your for loop. Similarly, in while loop also, we are testing the condition at the beginning itself, and then we are performing the operations inside the body of loop. But it is sometimes in real-time scenarios, we require some external factor may decide whether the program to be continued for its execution or not. Okay, so if that external factor says that you should stop the execution of program immediately, we have to stop it, even though the condition that is written at the beginning is not at false. Okay, so in such situations, this kind of loop control statements will be useful. To forcefully stop the loop, will we make use of this break statement, and to skip a certain iteration while executing a loop, we'll use this continue statement. And the pass statement is used in special conditions where we are going to ignore a particular condition. Just pass and ignore the condition, just move on to the execution of the loop. Okay, so now we will see with the help of examples how these three, break, continue, and pass, can be used to control the loops. Okay, so have a look at the first one, the break statement. Break statement is used whenever you want to stop a particular loop forcefully. Okay, when a particular condition is met. So this is especially used along with the condition testing inside the body of loops. Okay, I repeat it. It is used along with the conditional testing, a condition testing with the help of this kind of things, and usually inside a loop. The break statement should be used inside a loop only. Okay, it should be used inside a loop only. You cannot use break statement outside the loop. You need to remember this point. That break statement should be used inside a loop. Okay, and most of the times it exists inside the loop and with a condition. Okay, with a condition. Right. Have a look at this example to understand how break works. Initially, a number is given as 0 value, and then a for loop is used here for number in range of 10. So this range function will produce the values from 0 to 9. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on up to 9. So it will produce these values. Now, so for each value in the range, number repeats like this. Number is 0 at the beginning. Okay, number is equals to number plus 1. number is equals to number plus 1. If number is equals to 5, I'm saying break. But initially number is 0. Therefore, actually this statement is not required, I think, right? Yes. So anyhow, number is starting at 0. Number is equal to number plus 1, it is saying. Hold a minute. It is actually okay. So now assume that this is not present, or else I will remove it because it is a little confusing here. 2 times it is existing. You might confuse with this variable. So I'm removing it. Okay. Just removing it. So number in range 10. Okay. Now it is more meaningful. Right. Now let us start understanding this example. Okay. I'm using a for loop for number in range of 10. So this range of values will be from 0 to 9. Okay. So initially number is pointing to 0. Then I'm using this operation, number is equal to number plus 1. That means number is 1. So I'll check the condition inside this loop. If 1 is equals to 5, no, it is not. So break statement will not be executed because this is false. And the control goes like this, executed, executed. And because this condition is false, it will not execute break statement. So it moves to this. Number is plus str of number. So it prints the value that is 1. Okay, 1 is printed. Again, it comes back and this time number will points to the second number, that is 1. Enters inside, number is equals to number plus 1. Okay, if number is equals to 5, no. What is it? 2 is equals to 5 is false. So break will not be executed. It goes to printing. So it prints 2 now. Okay, again it goes back. This time it points to 2. And inside number is equal to number plus 1 I am doing. So 2 plus 1, it is 3. So 3 is equals to 5? No, it's not. Therefore, it prints the number. What is that number? It is 3. And then in next iteration, it points to 3. Okay, number points to 3. A number is equal to number plus 1 we are doing. It is 4 now. 4 is equals to 5? No. So it prints the number is 4. Okay, 4 is also printed. Again, it goes back. This time it points to 4. Okay, it points to 4. Number is equal to number plus 1. So it becomes 5 now. Number is 5. The condition 5 is equals to 5 is true this time. Therefore, it executes this break statement. Whenever a break statement is executed inside a loop, then the control is immediately transferred out of the loop. So control comes over here. Okay, with that break statement. So if you observe, there are more elements to repeat in the loop. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are there. But we are forcefully exiting the loop with the help of break statement. And outside this loop, whatever statement is present, it will be executed. What is it? Print out of loop. So after printing 1, 2, 3, 4, it displays the message out of loop. It is not printing the 5. Okay, so this will be the output, right? So that is how it works. Let us test this program now with the help of our IDLE. I just copy this program, then execute it with our IDLE. Okay, copying it. Let us open some IDLE here. Okay, I'll open a new file. Paste it, save it, and saving it on desktop, giving that name 1, and let us run this program. Inconsistent use of tabs, it is saying. Okay, let us see where it is. Oh. So maybe here. For number in range of 10, number is equals to number plus 1. Okay, and then if number is equals to 5, inside that I'm using a break statement. Okay, and then this print is in parallel with this. Okay, and this is right, it is correct only. Now let us run it. Inconsistent use of tabs and spaces in indentation. Where it is exactly. Oh. Okay, I have typed the entire program in my own now. Copying caused some indentation problems. So I have typed it in my own style. Okay, so let us save this program and run this program now. If you run it, it will produce the output 1, 2, 3, 4 and out of the loop. So you need to understand why it is producing only 1, 2, 3, 4 and then coming out. Okay, so look into this. For number in range of 10, it is taking 0 to 9. Okay, so initially number is 0, so number becomes 1 when I add it plus 1. This condition is not true, so it is printing number is 1. When it goes back, this time it is going to be 2, 2 is printed, 3 is printed, 4 is printed. Okay, and then when it goes back, number becomes 4, number is equal to 4 plus 1 it takes, number is equal to 5 is executed. Therefore, it immediately executes the break statement and comes out of the for loop. Out of the for loop, you have only one statement there, print out of loop. Therefore, it prints out of loop after executing that number is 4. So this is how it executes. Okay, so you need to understand one thing here, that the break statement transfers the control out of the loop when it gets executed. Okay, so that is the point you need to understand. Okay, now let us move on to the next statement. It is continue statement. Continue statement is used whenever you want to skip a particular iteration of a loop. Okay, a particular iteration will be skipped and the loop continues with the remaining iterations. Now let us understand this particular thing with an example. So here is an example again. It is showing the same thing. Don't consider this part. Number is equals to 0. For number is in range of 10, the same example, but in place of break, I'm using continue statement. Okay, in place of break, I'm using continue statement. So what will happen with this? Again, the range values will produce 0, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, up to 9. Will produce up to 9. Now, number starts with 0. Inside this loop, number is equal to number plus 1, it is saying. So number becomes 1. If number is equals to 5, 1 is equals to 5. No, it is not. Therefore, this statement gets executed. That is, it prints the number 1. It goes back, takes 1 now. Number is equal to number plus 1, makes it 2. 2 is equal to 5. No, not true. Therefore, it comes over here, prints number is 2. Okay. Then moves on to the next value, 2. Goes inside. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 is equals to 5 is not true. So comes inside, executes this statement. String is, that is number is 3. Displays 3 also. Okay, goes back. This time it consists of 4. That is 3. Number is equal to 3 plus 1 it makes. 4 is equals to 5 is fail. Right? Therefore it comes over here. It prints 4. 4 is printed. When it goes back, this time number points to this 4. Okay. And number is equal to 4 plus 1 makes it 5. Therefore 5 is equal to 5 is true. So it comes inside, executes continue statement, and whatever exists after continue statement, that means this one will be skipped in that particular iteration. Okay. So from here onwards, it goes back to the loop header. Okay. From continue statement, the control moves to the loop header without executing the remaining statements after continue statement. Okay, so break takes the control out of the loop, where continue takes the control to the header of the loop. Okay, please remember that point. That means it continues with the remaining iterations. What is the next iteration? Number points to the 5 now. Okay, it points to 5, and number is equal to number plus 1 is 6. 6 is equal to 5 is wrong. Therefore, it comes over here and prints 6. So if you observe the output, 5 is missing here. Okay, because we used continue, it skips the iteration when number becomes 5. Right? So 6 is printed. Similarly, 7 will be printed, 8 will be printed, 9 will be printed. Okay, and when number takes 9, the number becomes 10, it also gets printed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the output of this particular loop. Okay. So let us check this program also by changing that break to continue, because the same example we are considering here. I just don't want to copy it. The program is available there. So I'll just change this break statement to continue statement. Instead of break, I'm going to use continue. Okay. Except that everything else is same. So I will run this program now. And module, you can see the output here. See, when I used break statement, the output is 1, 2, 3, 4 and out of the loop. Okay. But when I used continue statement, 1, 2, 3, 4 is printed and 5 is missing here. And it continues with the remaining 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are printed. And then it goes out of the loop. So continue statement always skips the current iteration of the loop and continues with the remaining iterations of the loop. Whereas break statement simply forces the loop to exit. Okay. So that is the point you need to understand. Right. So let's move on to the remaining control statements. Okay. So we saw two statements, two control statements, break and continue. Now it is a pass statement. Okay. What we need to do is with pass statement, there is nothing will happen. Okay. Except that simple pass will be, that is, nothing will be happening. If number is equal to 5, just ignore it and continue with the loop. Just ignore it and continue with the normal execution of the loop. That means even if this condition is not present here, whatever happens, the same thing happens even if it is present, if you write it as pass. Okay, then why should we write? Just to make some delay over here. Okay, we'll check the condition and we will make it pass, so that a small delay is taken over here, and the program continues with the normal execution. There is nothing skipped here. Okay. So pass statement is used whenever you want to ignore the condition and continue with the normal execution of a particular loop. So there will be no change even if you do not write this condition. Okay. Now let us see whether it's going to execute in the normal way or not, with the help of the IDLE again. I'll just show you this. Instead of using continue statement, this time I'm going to use pass. Okay. So guess the output. It should produce all the values from 1 to 10, including that 5. Okay. See, including that 5. Everything is produced. But then why we are using, it will just put some delay on the execution of your loops. That's it. There is nothing else. So for example, if I remove this condition, what will happen? Just removing it. And run the program, you will see that output is going to be same. See the output. This is the output produced earlier, and this is the output after removing that pass statement and condition. The output is same. That means you just put a delay with that condition testing and pass statement. Otherwise, there will be no impact on the output of the corresponding loop produced. Okay, so that is how pass statement is used. Right. So we have completed all the three control statements: break, continue, and pass. Here is the conclusion that should be remembered. The break statement causes a program to break out of a loop. Okay, so break statement causes the loop to stop forcefully. Continue statement skips the current iteration and continues with the remaining loop. Okay, and the pass statement tells the program to disregard that condition and continue to run the program as usual. So ignore and continue the execution. So just remember these conclusion points. The next topic that is useful for our Python programs is how to generate the random numbers. So we have something called as random.randint. This function is used for producing random numbers, which is available in the module random. Okay, so whenever you want to produce random numbers, you need to import this random module and then use the function random.randint and specify the range of values. If you specify the range, within this range, some number will be randomly produced by this random.randint. We cannot identify which will be, we cannot predict which number gets produced. It is purely random. Okay, so if you run this program, the values that are produced here is 2464. Maybe if you run it again, the output may be something different. You will never produce same kind of output if the program involves random number generations. Okay, so that is how random numbers work. So I just want to show you a simple application that makes use of random numbers. Okay, so I'm just copying this. This particular program is a game, a guessing game. You can see that. Okay, so I'll explain it with IDLE. So what is this guessing game? You need to understand that. So, okay. Now let us have a look at this. The first input we are taking, enter the smaller number. I'm taking it and converting it into integer, storing it into smaller. Larger is equal to int of input of enter the large number I am asking. So the larger number is also taken. So why we are taking this smaller and larger? Because the numbers that are going to generate will be between these two numbers. Okay. So random.randint function always generates a number between these two. Okay. So my number is equals to random.randint of smaller comma larger. So a random number is generated. And now count is equals to 0, and this is an infinite loop. Count is equal to count plus 1 because we entered inside. Whenever we enter inside, count will be incremented. Now we are asking the user to guess the number generated by this random int. Okay, so enter your guess. So user enters some number which is available in this user number. So this is generated by the random int function, and this is the guess given by the user. So let us compare the values. User number, if it is less than my number, then it is too small, the message I am giving. And then it goes back to repeat this loop again. Count is equal to count plus 1, takes the second guess, and so on. If user number is greater than my number, I'll print too large and the control goes back. Okay. So after printing this message, it goes back to the starting of loop from here, or after printing this message, it goes back. Okay. Because it is true, it is an infinite loop. Again, it comes over here. Else, what I'll do is, congratulations, you have got it in. That means you guessed it correctly this many times. Okay. Count is done. Count tries were done for guessing that number correctly. Okay. Now let us test it with a small sample here. Let us run this program. Okay. Enter the smaller number it is asking. So I'll give 2. Enter the larger number it is asking. So I'll give 5, so that my guess is going to be correct in fewer steps. So my guess, it is 3. Too large, it is saying. Maybe it produced 2. Okay. So this time I'm going to guess 2 definitely. Yes, congratulations, you have got it in 2 tries, it is saying. So that is how it works. If I run that program again and give that smaller number and larger number, bigger numbers, 200 and 1000. Okay. Now it will be hard for us to guess it. Okay. Let us say 6, too small. Enter your guess. 100, too small. Okay, I give 200, too small. I'll give 300, too small. 500, too small. Okay, 600, too small. 700, too small. 800, too large. So it is definitely between 700 and 800. So you need to test the values from 701 to 800. Okay, so somehow you will reach that number. Okay, let me give randomly. 750 is also small, so it is definitely between 750 and 800. So I'll give 780 this time. It is too large, so it is 750 to 780. So I'll give 770 this time. Too small, so it is definitely between 770 to 780. So I'm giving 775. It is too large, so I'll reduce the number. 774. Congratulations, you have got it in 14 tries. So like this, it works. It is a guessing game. You can try it in your own. The system will generate a random number, and you will ask the user to guess that number. Until he guesses it correctly, you need to repeat it. Okay, so that is the program, which is a very useful example for checking the random numbers. Okay, and let us conclude our topics with a few warnings over here while writing the loops. Okay, the logic, errors, and testing. So whenever you write loops in your programs, either it is a conditional control loop or a count control loop, you need to be very careful about 3 things. One is, if you are using a loop control variable, you need to be careful about whether the loop control variable is properly initialized or not. Otherwise, the loop may be indefinitely repeated. The second thing you need to be careful is whether the condition is properly tested or not. Okay. Otherwise, there may be wrong outputs produced by your program. And the third and most important point is whether the corresponding loop control variable is properly updated or not. If you either miss updation of the loop control variable or wrongly updating the loop control variable, may lead to infinite loops. Okay, so whenever your program enters into an infinite loop, unfortunately, while running your program, so be sure that you press this control and C in parallel. Okay, then the corresponding program execution stops forcefully. Okay, so you need to be very careful about all these three things, okay, in order to avoid these infinite loops. Of course, as a beginner, as a naive programmer, it is always possible that the programs that you write, the complex programs that you write at the beginning level, will definitely fall into infinite loops in sometimes. Okay, so don't panic in that situations. Press this Control C to stop the execution of Python program which entered infinite loop, and you can stop it forcefully using this Control C. Okay, so use that control button, keeping it pressed, and press this C button also. Okay, then the execution will be stopped forcefully. Okay, so this is conclusive points while using the loop statements, particularly while writing the complex loop control statements in your program, right? So that is all about the loop control statements, both the while loop and for loop. And here is a task for you. Try to solve this program. Having learned both for loop and while loop, I'm giving 3 for loops here, which needs to be converted into while loops. Okay, because we know that count control loops can be represented by the while loops also. So convert all of them into while loops. For example, this A can be converted into count is equals to 0 initially. Okay, I'm just writing it to give some tip to you. Okay, count is equals to 0. And then the condition is while up to 99 it should produce, so count should be less than 100. So while count less than 100, that should be the condition, followed by a colon, and we are going to print it, print count. Okay, print count. Then update that count variable using count plus 1. So count is equals to count plus 1. That is count plus is equals to 1. So that makes the corresponding while loop equivalent to this. I wrote it here. Now it is time for you to convert these two, B and C. So write the equivalent codes and run them. Run this code and the while loop that you converted. If both of them are producing same outputs, it means you did it well. Okay, so this is a task given for you to test your knowledge, right? Yeah, that's all for today. I hope you understood the behavior of both for loop and while loop. We have seen few examples also for producing the random numbers, and we have seen one simple application guessing game for using the random number generation. So that's all for today. Thank you all for your patient listening. See you in the next lesson. Thank you.